Maty Grunberg, денес светски познатиот израелски сликар, скулптор и дизајнер, е единственото бебе што го преживеа Холокаустот на евреите во Скопје. Грунберг е роден во Скопје на 4 март 1943 година, точно една недела пред евреите од Македонија да бидат депортирани во Требленка. Семејството Грунберг се криело во милница на христијанско семејство во околината на Скопје до крајот на војната. По точно 73 години, кога среде војна бил роден во Скопје, Маty Grunberg, кој живее и твори во Израел, повторно се враќа во својот роден град со изложбата Сеќавање што ме прогонуваат, која беше отворена во Музеот на Холокаустот на евреите во Македонија. Во моментов тој ги подготвува проектите меморијален комплекс со монолитен споменик и сончев часовник што ќе се гради на старите еврејски гробишта во Битола.
Exhibition have two parts. This on my right here is the old artwork when I was a young man, as a young artist. I had from my parents some memories, and I remember I have many memories here in Skopje till the age of 5, vividly memory, really. And so I thought I must capture that memory because it's part of the memory is the story of my parents, and part of memory is my memory, combined together. This exhibition is contained on two parts. Eye for the future, view for the future, what we can do from now onward, and the past memory, the haunted memory that I live with.
Фасцинантен е бројот на книжевни, филозофски и историски дела кои имаат влијание врз моето творештво, вели тој.
In Israel, as you know, in Jerusalem, we have a huge memorial site called Yad Vashem. And many writers and philosophers and people left a lot of writing about the Holocaust. And many years ago, a woman called Jenny Label, who was a historian for the Jewish community in Macedonia, wrote 2 books about Macedonia. And I was a part, she came to interview me. I said, you should interview my parents. She said, you are the most important because you are the only baby that survived the Holocaust. I was born in 4th of March, and 11th of March, 1943, the Jews was taken away to Treblinka. So she said, you are very important. You are the single baby. I'm sure was other baby was born, but was taken to Treblinka. You're the only baby that survived that Holocaust. So she said, you're very important. I said, I don't feel important. But she said, you don't understand it now. Maybe in a few years, it would catch up with you and you would understand. And she was right. So this is the philosophical aspect of the whole exhibition. What I found in Jerusalem, in Mount Scopus, that is the highest point in Jerusalem, this is the watershed, rain come from the west, reach the mountain, stop, and behind that is the desert, literally a line, green and desert. And it's a little botanical garden there, and what I saw plant coming from the desert, very spiky. Plant that coming from the west are very flowery, fat leaves, but they're climbers. So on this 100 square meter is a fantastic fight between 2 groups of plants, wild. And I thought, what a wonderful metaphor. Even in Jerusalem, the plant are fighting, So the place, Jerusalem, is interesting to me because it's a trouble place. Trouble for many religious. Everybody claim Jerusalem, from a religious point of view, from historical point of view. The city over 4,000 years was in fighting all the time, war, destroyed. The Jerusalem, I think, was destroyed 8 times and was rebuilt 8 times, totally restored from the Crusader, Roman, Greek, Persian, Egyptian. Everybody want that place. Why? I don't know. But as an artist, that's a very interesting place for me. Why everybody want to claim that place. So this is basically my vision.
Мати Грунберг дипломира на Академијата за уметност и дизајн во Ерусалим. Потоа, своите последипломски студии ги продолжува во Централната школа за уметност и дизајн во Лондон.
I had my first exhibition in London in an art school. It's a big gallery in an art school. So they gave me the honor and they said, is it an Italian gentleman want to speak to you? So I went down to meet him, and he was a very elegant man, dressed beautifully, and he said, can you tell me about your work? So I said, well, it's to do with theater. My frustration that I was working as a stage designer in Israel and I was not allowed to create things I wanted to create. And he looked at the work and he said, how much do you want for one piece of the work? So I was living on £10 a week. So I said, £15. I thought, well, I have extra £5 to live on. So he said, okay, I buy the lot, I buy the whole exhibition. So I said to him, what do you want to buy for what? He said, it's not for me, it's for Maestro Fellini, because Fellini is making a film called Satyricon, and your images are interesting to him. And many years later, when Fellini was on English television, and he was sitting behind his desk, and 3 of my etching was behind him, hanging. I thought, something happened with that. The second story is I had my first exhibition in London in Covent Garden, and a young man called walked in and he said, my name is Alan Aldrich. I said, I don't know who you are. He said, I'm the designer of the Beatles. He said, would you like to work with John Lennon? I said, would I like to work with John? Of course. So I went to meet John Lennon and Yoko. They used to live off Abbey Road in St. John's Wood. And when I walked into the flat was empty, floorboard, nothing. I thought, oh, they may be broke, they don't have money. Nothing. It was a mattress on the floor in a bedroom. And I opened my portfolio, I showed him my work. He chose 3 of my etchings. And this etching appearing in the last project of the Beatles book number 2. I have John Lennon and 3 of my etchings together with him. So was very interesting time because John Lennon was full of humor. He had a sense of humor. I was very nervous, John Lennon, was a hero, on our childhood, Sunday meeting him. And that's the story of John Lennon.
Во својата навистина богата уметничка дејност, Грунберг соработувал со навистина значајни уметници, меѓу кои секако ќе остане запаметана средбата со Хенри Мур.
In New York, I met few very important artists. One of them was Christo, the artist that cover building. I was told he is a Macedonian, but he was born in Bulgaria, but his parents are coming from Macedonia. So I thought, and Christo wrapped up in Paris the bridge. He covered in Berlin, he covered the whole building. In Australia, he did huge curtains, So I thought, wow, how the artist can work on such a large scale. And this was something very fascinating for me. Second meeting that I had with one of English best artists called Henry Moore. I was invited to his studio. And when I came there, I was shocked to see that Henry Moore was a small man. Usually he was photographed from always below, so he looked giant, but I met a very small man with blue eyes, very piercing blue eyes. And he shook my hand and he didn't let go. So every time I dropped my eyes down, he stopped talking. I had to look in his eyes all the time, It was very difficult, the kind of... Anyhow, we walked, he showed me around his various studio, and it was a very fascinating day for me because we had, we was walking, he lived outside Cambridge, a place called Much Haddam. That is he's like a farmer, he have a huge ground, and he have sculpture everywhere, and so on and so on. And towards the end of the day, he took me to his very private studio, and it was a room full of shelves. And on the shelf was tiny little sculpture, tiny, thousands of them. So I said to him, Mr. Moore, I said, where's the landscape for all those little sculpture? He said, landscape? He took one, he put in his hand, he said, this is a landscape. And he said to me, was my big lesson that I got from him. He said, whatever you do, start small. Because when you start small, you're not getting into detail. You remain with the essence of the sculpture. And I took that from that day onward. Every big sculpture I made it small to sit on my hand, first of all. This is the scale.
Делата на Мати Грунберг се изложувани во Британскиот, Еврејскиот и Музеот на Викторија и Алберт во Лондон, во Библиотеката на Британија, Њујоршката јавна библиотека и Конгресната библиотека во Вашингтон, Музеот на Израел во Ерусалим и Еврејскиот музеј во Њујорк. Делата на Мати Грунберг, кои се изложени во Музеот на Холокаустот на евреите во Македонија, македонската јавност има можност да ги види до крајот на месец јуни.